Today's bonus video is brought to you by Legendary Playmats by Aleksi Briclot. After a triumphant first campaign, Aleksi returns to Kickstarter with a brand new collection of extended Magic the Gathering artwork. This limited printing will only be done in a single run by Ultra Pro, and it's a Kickstarter exclusive with premium black stitch edging. Featuring the gorgeous art of Avenger Zendikar, Sliver Hivelord, Thoughtseize, and Venser, you can also get some sweet, beautiful new tokens from Aleksi as well. And if you act now within the first 48 hours, if you add one booster to your pledge, you'll get a second booster for free. So don't wait and pledge for yours today. So to help promote the Kickstarter, today's game has only legendaries that Aleksi Briclot has designed and illustrated. Unfortunately, the footage with opening hands was corrupted, but today Mika is playing Borborygmos Enraged and wants to throw some lands, Ian is playing Zurgo with a focus on orcs, Maximus is playing Samut, building around tokens, and I am playing Wulfgar, with an emphasis on attack triggers. Mika wins the die roll and starts us off. He draws and plays a tapped Gruul Guildgate. Ian's got a Desolate Mire and ships it to Max. Maximus plays a Temple of Triumph, scrying 1. My turn has a tapped Wooded Ridgeline coming in, and I pass. Mika's turn has him playing a Zurta Druid and passing to Ian. Ian plays a Rugged Prairie and is able to cast a Gorbag of Minas Morgul and passes to Max. Max draws and plays Turn Timber Serpentine Wood, which comes in tapped and passes. I'm able to play an untapped Rootbound Crag and then cast Lightning Greaves and pass. Mika's turn has him playing a Mountain and has enough mana to cast Tempt with Discovery, which deals 1 to us with the Zurta Druid from being tapped. Ian and Max take the land, so Mika gets to go and find 3 of them. He then passes while he's searching. Ian's turn has him playing a Sunhome, and he pays 2 for a Rakdos Signet. He then goes to combat and hits Mika with Gorbag, and then sacrifices it to draw a card. In his post-combat main phase, Ian casts a Vorpal Sword and passes. Maximus draws, and ticks up Urza's Saga, which he'd found thanks to Mika, and plays a Plains in his main phase and passes to me. I display a Forest and cast Mirage Mirror. Mika's got a Forest for his turn, and he pays 2 for a Scavenging Ooze. He follows up with a Sylvan Safekeeper, and then plays an Armillary Sphere once that resolves. He ships it to Ian after that. Ian's turn has him drawing and casting Zurgo, then immediately going to combat. He swings Zurgo at Mika, who blocks the Zurta Druid, and then activates it to get mana to help crack the Armillary Sphere and deals 1 to each of his opponents. Ian then passes, and during his end step, Max uses Urza's Saga to make a Construct token. Max draws and ticks up Urza's Saga to the final one, and activates it to make a Construct token before sacrificing it to go and find a Soul Ring. He then plays a Forest for turn, and casts Tocassia's Welcome, passing after the enchantment resolves. I play an Opal Palace in my main phase, and then pay 2 to have my Mirage Mirror become a copy of Zurgo. I equip it with the Greaves, and go to combat, swinging my Zurgo at Mika. He takes the hit for 7, and in my second main phase, I then cast Anduril Narsil Reforged, and pass after it resolves. During my end step, Mika uses the Scavenging Ooze to exile Ian's creature from his graveyard, gaining a life and adding a counter to the ooze. Mika draws and plays a Mountain, and then casts Borborygmos. He ships the turn after that. Ian draws and plays a Demolition Field, and then equips a Vorpal Sword to Zurgo. Ian then swings Zurgo at me, and I take the hit, and Ian passes. Maximus draws and plays a Gilded Lotus in his main phase, and then plays a tapped Boros Garrison, and bounces his Turn Timber back to hand. After that, he passes to me. I've got a Forest, and then pay to make the Mirage Mirror into a Gilded Lotus. I'm then able to cast Wulfgar, and equip him with the Lightning Greaves, but decide to keep him back and pass. Mika draws her turn, and then swings Borborygmos at Ian. And before damage, Ian casts an Anguished Unmaking, and targets Borborygmos. As a result, Mika sacrifices a Forest to Sylvan Safekeeper's ability, giving Borborygmos Shroud. Ian then takes the 7, and Mika gets to land off of Borborygmos' on damage ability, and in his second main phase, he plays a forest, and then casts crop rotation, sacrificing the land. This has Mika getting a mountain off of it, and he then discards a land to Borborygmos' ability and deals 3 to Zurgo to take him out. Mika then continues with a life from the loam, returning 3 lands to his hand, and passes. Ian's got a Plains for turn, and he casts Devoted Paladin. He follows up with an Infernal Grasp, targeting Borborygmos, and this forces Mika to sacrifice another land to Sylvan Safekeeper to protect him. With nothing else, Ian passes. Max draws and casts the spell side of Turntimber Symbiosis, but unfortunately whiffs on a creature. Going to combat, Max then swings a Construct at Mika, who takes the hit for 4. In his post-combat main phase, Max then plays Temple of the False God. He then sacrifices a Construct token to help kick a Primal Growth, and goes to find some lands as he passes. I've got a Kessig Wolfrun for turn, and make my Mirage Mirror into a Gilded Lotus again, and then cast my own Turntimber Symbiosis. I get a Kogla off of it, and as it comes in, attempt to fight Sylvan Safekeeper. Mika floats a green off the Grueled Guildgate, and then exiles my Symbiosis with a Scavenging Ooze, and then sacrifices the gate to give the Safekeeper Shroud. I then move the Greaves onto Kolga. Mika responds to this by discarding 2 lands, and takes out Kogla with 2 lightning bolts worth of damage. I then move to combat, and I swing Wulfgar at Mika, who gets pumped by melee twice, and Mika takes the 6, and after that, I pass. Mika dredges life from the loam instead of drawing, and then plays a forest for turn. He casts the life from the loam again, returning 3 lands back to hand. And then swings Borborygmos at me. I take the hit for 7, and Mika then gets a Glacial Chasm off the Borborygmos trigger. He passes after that. Ian draws and recasts Zurgo, and then goes to combat. He swings Zurgo at me for 7, and passes after it connects. Max draws and plays Avenger of Zendikar, and then plays a Path of Ancestry and gets to put a +1/+1 counter onto each of his plants. Max then casts Samut, and going to combat, he swings his Avenger and plants at Mika. Mika then throws 2 lands at the Avenger to take it out, and blocks a plant token, but still takes 6. After that, Max passes. My turn has me playing a mountain, but this time I activate the Mirage Mirror twice, the first on Borborygmos and the second on the Gilded Lotus. Mika sacrifices a land to give Borborygmos Shroud, and fizzles my ability, but the mirror does become a copy of Gilded Lotus. I then cast Full Throttle, gaining some additional combat steps, and I swing Wulfgar at Ian, getting my melee triggers, and Ian chumps the 6. Moving to my second attack, I then swing Wulfgar at Ian again, and this time it gets pumped to 8. Ian takes it this time, and I then move to my third combat, and this time I swing Wulfgar at Mika, for a total of 10. He's forced to block with his Scavenging Ooze, and I then pass turn. Mika draws and casts Illusionist Bracers in his main phase, and moves to equip it onto Borborygmos. He then goes to combat, and swings Borborygmos at Max. Before moving to blocks, Max attempts to exile Borborygmos with Swords to Plowshares. This has Mika sacrificing a land to protect Borborygmos though, and Max then takes 7. This has Mika hitting a land off the trigger, and he gets to keep it. In his second main phase, plays a Glacial Chasm, and sacrifices a mountain as it comes in. Ian's turn has him playing a Rogue's Passage, and then equips Zurgo with the Vorpal Sword. He follows it up with Grappling Hook, and then sacrifices the Demolition Field, destroying the Glacial Chasm. Ian then moves to combat, and he swings Zurgo at Mika, but Mika's able to chump with a Safekeeper. Ian passes after that. Max draws, and in his main phase overloads a Scale Up, and then casts Makindi Stampede. He makes his creatures into 6/4s, and then gives them all +2/+2, and he goes to combat. He swings 2 plants at me, 4 at Mika, and 1 at Ian. Plus the Construct is going to Ian as well. Without enough blockers all around, or enough lands in Mika's hand to bolt everything, Max is able to win the game through combat, and we move on to the next one. Game review time. So this was a fun one, and I think Mika's deck was probably the strongest right out the gate. Borborygmos really lends itself well to one specific thing, which is getting lands and then throwing lands and bolting people in the face. He had so much interaction and removal at any given time that it made it hard to establish a board. Unfortunately, we all put a lot of pressure on him, which meant that he wasn't able to establish said board. Ian's Zurgo deck, outside of casting Zurgo and that one other legendary orc, really didn't do what he wanted to do, unfortunately. I think Wulfgar did a great job. I got to do some extra combat step and pumped him up with his own melee ability. And Max's deck was just super sweet. I love Scale Up. I think it's a fantastic card that we don't see more of outside of Modern, and it's just really fun when all of your 1/1s become 6/4s.